Hi, Julie. I am so thrilled that you're here with us today, and welcome to the Sherlock Brew Podcast.
Thank you. It's absolute pleasure to be here, and I look forward to starting our conversation.
Absolutely, Julie. And for our guests, for our listeners and viewers on social media who is not as familiar with your work, I'm just going to do a very brief introduction and we're going to jump right into our questions.
Sounds great.
So, for those of you who is new to Julie's work, Julie Lee, PhD, is a clinical psychologist, a Gen Z mental health and employment strategist, and a NYU faculty. She's also a keynote speaker, HBR, and Fast Company contributor, and known as a workplace wellness consultant. And with that said, we have so many questions here from Sherlock Super Coach, and this is a podcast from Sherlock called Sherlock Brew. Our first question is, what are some great retention strategies for young careers who are seeking meaning and clarity?
Hey, I really appreciate that question because we know that young professionals, especially Gen Z professionals who in 2023 includes full-time employees typically being 18 to 26. For them, one of the most important factor in choosing and staying at a job is indeed connecting with their sense of purpose and meaning.
Mm.
With that in mind, I think there are three things that companies can do, as well as individuals. I guess I will start with young professionals. I think it's really important when one is starting a career is to be reflective and process their experience in the moment. Every job has its ups and downs, and going in with a sort of a growth mindset, whether it's the first job or second job, and to really ask oneself, what is this that I could learn from this opportunity? Both, again, positive and negative, because even through the challenges and difficulties, we learn something about ourselves and the match between ourselves and the employer that is going to be meaningful. So, moving on to the employer side, I think it's really important. And I heard this over and over again from professionals who says, I'm not sure how my job and what I do make a difference. I think the leaders, whether they're executive or managers, can make a big difference in that area by helping young professionals understand how their contribution specifically make an impact through the work that they do in the company. We all seek a purpose, a sense of purpose in our work. And when we understand, say I'm a software engineer working at a mental health company, when I understand that what I'm doing is making indeed an impact and positive contribution to the population who'll be using the app, then it will make a difference. And
Mhm.
then employee, the young professional can say, is this exactly how I want to make a contribution as a software engineer? Or can I see myself doing something different, take on a different responsibility that'll bring me even deeper into connecting both with what I care about,
Mhm.
what I value, and how I want to do my work on a day to day basis.
It's very interesting, Julie. You opened my eyes to think about it's really there are two sides of the coin that the responsibility comes from the employer, the management teams, maybe the Gen Z's manager, as well as the Gen Z employee himself, herself, themselves. And it's really interesting that we are responsible to own up
Mhm.
to what we believe in, what we want to develop. And so I want to just also add another perspective. I would love to hear your thoughts on coaching and maybe internal coaching. And with these days, with AI technologies, as you actually introduced me to a lot of different AI apps, what about AI coaching also in this context and perspective?
Yeah. Great question. I think coaching is an incredible tool that has become more widely available. It's been around for a while, and it's interesting to me as I start to really think of myself as a coach as well. How coaching really brings different facets of personal growth and professional growth. It draws from psychology and understanding our intrapsychic or internal processes with our experience in the workplace. So I think those, just like you said, coaching is an opportunity to bring those two important spheres of experience together
Mhm.
and promote a reflection, self-awareness. And I would even venture to say it really creates an opportunity for growth by clarifying our goals and values. I think, I believe, just as in psychotherapy, I think what human to human coaching will be available for a very long time.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important for us to recognize there is something that's very valuable in human to human connection.
Mhm.
Having said that, just like in psychotherapy, human to human coaching sometimes is expensive, maybe not be readily available, may not be offered as widely to a full range of employees. So I think this is where AI comes in. I think AI comes in. I don't see AI coaching as necessarily completely replacing human to human coaching. I think it could enhance and
Mhm.
optimize the human to human coaching and the process that we just described by one, potentially making coaching less expensive. There are things that include something such as understanding the background,
Mhm.
identifying areas of most important areas to focus on, and really evaluation and keeping track of how is coaching working for them, getting feedback, and being able to be adaptive and to really meet the client where they are. I believe that's where AI could play a significant role in really making coaching more widely available and more effective.
Absolutely. It's so interesting that you said that because when I was testing out Sherlock Supercoach for myself, certainly not as a Gen Z employee, I also found it really interesting because it was having these very intellectual conversations, but it was really listening as opposed to making judgment, making assumptions. And I learned a lot of habitual thinking patterns that I
Mm,
wasn't really aware of, or I didn't really know how to break through them because if
mm,
there are questions coming in, I have all intention to approach it through the 1, 2, 3 areas I'm already familiar with, I feel really confident for, but, Sherlock was showing me other ways, like
mm,
changing the way how I ask the questions, putting me, floating behind myself, observing my tendency, and teaching me other ways to think and to act, and that
mm.
was really powerful as somebody who's older, much older than a Gen Z person.
Coaching is effective and important. I admire your commitment for growth and really trying coaching in any platform because I think it does. I often say it has to start with the first step, and that is to recognize I'm committed
Mhm.
to understanding myself better, and reaching my goal. And can coaching play a role in that? And I think you're absolutely right. So great that you have used it. I'd like to just add and really piggybacking and amplifying what you said, and that is you're right. There's a lot of benefit to human coaching or human to psychotherapy, but sometimes they're blind spots because we're humans. And sometimes we bring our audience may be familiar with the concept of transference. Whether you're a coach or whether you're a clinician, what we bring to the conversation is filtered through our own assumptions and our own values and are sometimes limited by own perspective. I think that's where AI driven coaching can, in fact, perhaps really augment and improve coaching because there isn't the filter that might be that could potentially limit the scope of conversation and coaching topics.
That is so fascinating. Absolutely. I think we're gonna come around to talking more apps, whether it's B2B, B2C, and talking about their impacts and effectiveness in just a bit. Wow. I really had to pause there. That's so fascinating. I didn't realize people have all these preconceptions and filtering and even using their own experiences, asking questions as opposed to giving advice immediately. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you find it helpful. We'll soon be back with our next podcast. In the meantime, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues.